A Division I athlete gives up a lot to do what they do. They give up a social life, they give up a lot of things. Lots of times they're miles from home, and there's an opportunity there for them to be involved in things that aren't necessarily what they need to be involved in. The one thing that they don't have to give up because of FCA is their faith.
Being a student athlete and the schedules that we have, it's real hard to, to attend church and to find ways to worship God. Knowing Chris and him being a student athlete at one point is huge for me, as to the point to where he's been through it all and he's there for advice. He knows what it's like. He's not just there, as a mentor. He's there as someone who's lived it himself. And it's awesome who you can go and he can relate to your problems and the things that you deal with family, the college situations and the girls, all that stuff.
It's been a true blessing to be just a part of the organization and just meet people and have brothers and sisters in Christ and just have people that you can go to and turn to, that you meet with every week and go over the Bible and just share the Word. It's an amazing feeling just to know that you have brothers and sisters and that you have Tammy and Chris there too.
For the longest time I had felt alone and I didn't really know why, but once I started going to FCA, it changed everything, and Chris made me realize that I had God. God was on my side, and no matter what, I could go to him. But if I didn't feel okay with God, Chris and Tammy were both there, and to have them there meant everything, because there were times where I was really upset or I just had questions that were unanswered, and Chris and Tammy could give me an answer and just made me feel a lot better about whatever situation I was in.
Chris has been a great example for me. Having him around has showed me what it really means to be a Christian. Seeing Chris do it every day and be so consistent in his walk with Christ has inspired me to be just like him. And I look at him as more than a team chaplain. I look at him as a role model. I tell Chris everything. He's been a part of some of the biggest decisions in my life. And I love him like a brother.
Being around Chris and FCA has meant the world to me, really. In high school, I went to church and stuff, but as soon as I came to college, I kind of fell away from it all. And I really didn't feel comfortable going to a lot of the churches. And, when I was younger, I used to look up to, other sports figures and stuff like that. But, it's kind of hard to look up to someone you really don't know. And Chris, I know him, and just to see all the things he's done, how good of a father he is and how good of a husband he is, it's something I can only wish to be like that one day. And, every time I do something, I think about, what would Jesus do in this situation? And a lot of the times it's, how would Chris handle this situation? And it's really made me a better person looking up to him.
This past semester, or actually the spring semester, my mother was diagnosed with colon cancer, and Chris was there the day that it happened, and he has been to every single one of my mom's chemo appointments, and while they were in there, while she was getting chemo, he was professing his love for Christ for all the other people there. And just the fact that he's there for me, I know he's a very busy person, he has a lot going on, and he would take the time out of anything and anything he could ever do and spend that time with me. So to have him and Tammy has meant the world to me.
If Chris wasn't around, I'd be definitely in a rough place. I've experienced a lot of stuff, being 3,200 miles away from home. I get to see my family twice a year, maybe. Chris is there 24/7. I've called him in the middle of the night, I've called him, early morning, I've called him in the middle of the day, and, he always answers. No matter what he's doing, he has, such a good heart. He wants to help so much. He truly, truly cares about me, and he's really kind of like an extension of my family. I'm never afraid to, tell Chris, hey, I did this, or I'm feeling this. He doesn't judge me, one way or the other, whether it's good, bad, and different. He passes no judgment. He sees me for who I am, and, just loves me, just like Christ. And so he's really, kind of that rock for me, when times are going tough.
Chris reminds us that we are ambassadors of the kingdom to campus, because in a major college and collegiate athletics, it could be extremely selfish world. And I think that his weekly Bible studies and encouraging messages really keep that in perspective, because in our business, coaches look out for coaches and players look out for players. And we don't want to have that mindset. We want to look out for the players. We want to look out for others. He always reminds us of that.
You know, in a busy lifestyle that we live as coaches where we're traveling and out of town a lot, to have that base that we can come home to, and I do go to the Bible study that he has for coaches on Wednesdays, and I think it's just nice to have a group that you can get together with and worship with together. It's kind of low-key, you know, especially with the stress of the week and everything, that you can just really sit back and share what the week has been for you. And it's not an every Sunday that I get to go to church, and you know, I don't want to say that I feel guilty, but I do feel that I'm missing out on that spiritual uplifting that you get from going to church. So to be able to have that on a Wednesday, you know, during the week, even when I do get to go to church, just to have that during the middle of the week, because sometimes the beginning of the week doesn't always start off so smooth, and to have that, it just somehow is able to turn my week around.
I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. That's what my goal has been since I've been young. But these past couple of years being here in this program, FCA, being around Chris, has taught me more about God's will for my life and not what I want personally. If football is something that, or my athletic career is something that God has in the cards for me, then I want that. But if not, you know, I just want His will to be done in my life, and that's something that Chris has really done a great job of teaching, not only myself, but everyone else in FCA. And it's given me great perspective on knowing how to use that opportunity as a platform for Christ, and, you know, using that time in the limelight when people are looking up to you to tell them about what God has done for you and tell them about the gospel and the truths of Christ and in the Bible.
You know, I believed in God, you know, I believed there was, you know, God out there and stuff, but never read the Bible, never opened the Bible. And then, you know, meeting Chris, you know, he kind of just provided that kind of pathway to go there. And he actually got me my first Bible, and I've been reading that, and, you know, definitely not finished with it yet. You know, kind of struggled through it on some nights, and, you know, there's other nights that it really makes sense and everything. But, you know, I think the biggest difference would just be the fact that I'm kind of, you know, I see Jesus Christ, and, you know, I see that there's something out there more than just what there is here, you know, for these, you know, 75 to 90 years that we're, you know, living on the earth. There's something greater. You know, this next life is the important one. It's not this one right here. So that's a huge change for me, coming from a time when the only thing I was worried about was myself. Going out there and playing, it's like, you know, I wanted to do good. I wanted to help my team win, but not for any reason other than the fact that I just wanted to win, you know. But now it's like, you know, I want to give glory to God in everything that I do.